welcome, students. Hello, hello. Uh, Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the Global Gopher Experience Series Summer 2023 Level Up Your Career Success session. We still have a lot of students joining us, so please let us know where you're joining us from and also which college you're going to be attending in the chat box. And we're going to be waiting for you to join for the next 2 minutes. So please share the chat. Currently, me and most of my team are joining from Minnesota, but we do have students that are in their home countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, Japan, and practically all over the world. So please share in the chat where you're from. China, okay, Taiwan and from CSC, Georgia, India, Taiwan, okay, Bangladesh, Jordan, India, Ghana, okay, it's going so fast. Thank you everyone for sharing. Okay, Vietnam, India, to the College of Science and Engineering. Okay, this is really nice to know. Okay. So let's officially start. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. My name is Soliana Shakur. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm an upcoming sophomore studying computer science in the College of Liberal Arts. Currently, I'm a senior Global Gopher leader. The topic for today's session is Level Up for Career Success. We will have closed captions during the session. Also, we will record and put it on our website for better reference. So please keep yourselves muted during this meeting. And if you have any questions, please fill out the short survey that's going to be linked in our chat. Our student leaders will collect your questions and go over it during the Q&A section. Now I'm going to pass it to Ayapa to introduce Global Gopher Experiences.
Thank you, Soliana. Thank you, Soliana. My name is Ayapa. I'm a GG leader and I'm a master student here at the University of Minnesota. You can find our previous recordings here on our website, including more topics such as off-campus housing, healthcare, and the US health system, and so on. More useful and fun events are coming up in the following weeks.
And we'll pass it on to Jane.
We have a short introduction. Today, we are very honored to have Jane from Career Services as a guest speaker to talk about how to level up career success. I will now pass it on to Jane to introduce themselves.
Thank you, everyone. I think we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so this session is called Level Up for Career Success. My name is Jane, and I am a staff member at University of Minnesota, and I'm so excited to meet you here today and to get to know you more as the semester begins. My role is international career consultant. So I am a staff member who is at the university to specifically support our undergraduate international student career needs. But what we're talking about today is definitely relevant for any UMN international student, and we're happy to help point you to the resources that can help you the best. I don't meet with students one-on-one, but I do host a lot of events and workshops. So I am really excited to see you there. And we can go to the next slide. So a question that you may or may not have, why are we talking about leveling up our careers? I think that since you jumped into this session today, you might have some ideas on that. But we know that the career development experience is really important for all of our students. So we want to help point students to the right resources to get support for this very important topic. We can go to the next slide. So another question I have is, what does a career mean to you right now? You can take some seconds to think about that. You might have interest in getting career experience in the US, or you might be interested in career experience in your home country, or you might be interested in career experience in another country, or you might be interested in graduate school, which is, yes. And so you might be interested in one of these things, two of these things, or more. So it's really good to start to keep in mind what you would like your next step to be, and how can staff at the University of Minnesota help you to get to that goal, or the different resources and events that we have. It's good to keep in mind one or more of these goals from now, even though school is just about to start. Try to keep a couple of them in mind and plan for multiple possibilities. All right, we can go to the next slide. So you might be wondering, I need career support, but where do I go on campus? There's so many people and there's so many different things. Where should you go? We can go to the next slide. So who should you talk to for career support while at the U? We gave this answer to you first, but you might be thinking my academic advisor, my professor, ISSS, my career counselor, my friend, my parents. It's great to get insight from a variety of different sources, but I want to emphasize in our time together today that all UMN degree seeking and many non-degree seeking as well can access our career support. There's career counselors, career coaches who are willing to meet with you. And many of the college career offices that we're going to talk about in the next slide also have trained student employees who can meet with you as well. We can go to the next slide. These are the different career offices. So you can see that each of the colleges, like when you were introducing yourself, you included which college you were heading to. All of the colleges have career offices that you can visit. So CSC, Carlson, CBS, CLA, and CFANS, College of Design and College of Continuing and Professional Studies, they have locations in Minneapolis and St. Paul and CEHD. All right, we can go to the next slide. And what does career services do? So there's a lot of different things that career services can do for you, which is why we recommend that you use that as your primary support for getting career guidance. They have activities and guides to help you figure out what career that you want to do. They also have resources, information, and tools that are really beneficial to secure internships and jobs, can help you explore different majors and career options, to identify what skills and strengths that you have and how to talk about them in job applications, in the interviews and resumes. And they can also help you to prepare for graduate school or professional school, exploring different options and how to apply for those further education opportunities. And we can go to the next slide. So what do you need in order to work on your career development? We have broken this down in 3 different areas. You need knowledge, skills, and abilities. You need connections. You also need experience. We can go to the next slide. Here's a question for you. What do you think you should do to impress employers? Get a 4.0 GPA, be a leader in a student group, get work experience as a student employee, dress in a fancy suit, or have outstanding communication skills. Think about it, think about it. All right, let's see what the answer is. You can click. And I think there's 2 more answers that might work. Yes. So when we're just talking about what do you need to get a job, the knowledge, skills, and abilities, connections, experience. So these are all different things that will look really impressive to employers. Getting involved as a leader in a student group. There are many amazing student leaders in this session right now that you're going to get to know when you start the semester. And they're developing that great, impressive experience that they can talk with employers about what they're doing. Similarly, getting work experience as a student employee. We'll talk more about some different options that you'll have there. And through these experiences, you're developing a lot of skills that are related to what you want to do and also could be related to any opportunity. One of those, which is communication skills, that can really help you in any career. Employers will be really impressed with that. All right, the next slide. So working as a student is definitely something that can be possible for you. You can work on campus for up to 20 hours per week in any role and full-time during semester breaks and summer vacation. And sometimes when we're just learning about options for working on campus, we think that there might not be so many options, but we want to tell you that there can be a lot of really cool and different options. So you could be an office assistant, you can work in information technology, helping people with their computers and access, or designing websites. You can be a teaching assistant or research assistant. You can tutor other students or be a peer advisor, like in an academic advising unit or career services unit. There's a lot of options. And I'm going to pass to two of our student leaders to share more about their experiences working as a student. You ready?
Thank you so much, Jane. Hi, everybody, again. What I haven't mentioned before when I was doing my introduction is that I'm currently a sophomore undergraduate student. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with on-campus employment. So for international undergraduate students, work opportunities generally will seem a little bit daunting and confusing. I personally was able to find my current position by networking as soon as I got to campus. However, many of my international friends didn't have the same luck. I tried my best to help them out using the resources I was trained to use and came to find out that ISSS is actively helping students find employment that is fit for them. Moreover, for students looking to get into a part-time research position or a job at your college specifically, I can't stress enough the importance of going through those monthly or weekly emails that you get from your college, from ISSS, and from many different sources. They tend to cover a lot of information about professors on campus looking for students or teaching assistant positions that need to be filled next semester. Overall, working on campus is actually a very productive use of your time, not to mention a good resume builder. I definitely recommend looking at your options. It doesn't have to start right away, like when you arrive to campus or on your first year, but it's something that helps you find your community on campus, while still giving you a very realistic insight into how the hiring process works in the US. I really hope you guys enjoy your time at the UMN and have a great time with any of the campus employment endeavors. I'm going to pass it on to Noor to speak about her experiences.
Hello, everyone. My name is Noor Homa. I'm a second-year PhD candidate in the nutrition department from CFANS College, and I am from Pakistan. I'm currently serving as a global gopher leader for sponsored students here at ISSS. And so today I would like to share some tips or information for graduate students, especially about student employment. There are different opportunities available for graduate students like research assistantship or teaching assistantship within your department, or sometimes even outside your department. But it is very important to know where these opportunities are coming from. So you always want to check your emails from your department or your GPC. GPC is Graduate Program Coordinator. They do send out a lot of emails regarding any employment opportunities that are available around. So you do want to look out for them. But let me tell you this, let me remind you this, that be very careful and first figure out with ISSS on how much time you can serve on campus or off campus in respect to your visa status, because situations can be very different for F1 visa or J1 visa. So you do want to clarify any permissions from ISSS or from your employers so that you do not land up in trouble later. So there are a couple of websites that you can check out for career services. I'll just post them over here. And my advice to every graduate students coming would be just be very proactive, seek outside resources, look into LinkedIn, Indeed, Maroon and Gold Network, and career websites. Networking is the key to success, honestly. So have a great time, network, and enjoy the opportunities that come along your way. And welcome to the University of Minnesota. And I'll pass it on to Jane.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing your experiences. We can go to the next slide. So talking about building experience, we wanted to show you an example of a US style resume. And we can notice on this resume, that's half the slide, that the education experience is comparatively small if we look at the professional experiences section. And this is where employers are going to be looking for, how did you demonstrate your knowledge, skills, and abilities? And what connections did you make? What experience did you develop? That is what takes up most of the resume, which is how employers and recruiters are getting to know you when you're in the internship or job search. So the experiences help employers to see what competencies that you have, and if that matches their internship or job opportunities. And career services is there for graduate and undergraduate international students to help process through these different experiences and get prepared. We can go to the next slide. And one more click. So as our students were sharing, there's different ways to find student employment and other experiences. One is through the Human Resources Office that has a website for finding student jobs. So you can see that here. And I think we'll also be sharing that in the chat. And the next slide. So here's another question. What do many top sources believe that is the #1 way to find a job in the US? And can be powerful outside of the US too. Do you think it is a perfect resume, an impressive interview, knowledge of computer programming, networking, or a 4.0 GPA? And we can show the answer. It's networking, which can feel very intimidating and challenging, but there are many resources and supports that we have to help students build their networking skill. We can show those on the next slide. At UMN Twin Cities, we're helping our students a lot with understanding how to use LinkedIn, which is fairly global tool, and also the Maroon and Gold Network. The Maroon and Gold Network is almost like a LinkedIn for just the University of Minnesota community. So if LinkedIn is not available to you or you don't want to get started there, you can start with Maroon and Gold Network instead, which is a great smaller group way to connect with fellow Gophers. So through both of these platforms, you have the opportunity to reach out to new connections and start to build your professional network. We can go to the next slide. I'm going to pass to Emily to share this one.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Goose. I am an international advisor at ISS, and then I also have a role over at CAPE, which is an office that serves undergraduate students who are undecided about their major. So if that fits for you, I'd be happy to meet. But I want to chat a little bit more about work authorization. So it's really important that when you start to think about working during your degree or after your degree, it's important to start thinking about your work authorization options. So on the right side of the screen, I do have the different work authorization options for F1 students and J1 students. It's really important that you understand what is curricular practical training or optical practical training. You don't have to know it right now. But when you start looking for internships off campus, it's a good idea that you get familiar with ISS's information on our website about all of the work authorization options, so that way you have a good understanding of how to use them and you know who to go to for help. ISSS advisors are here and available to you to help you answer any of your work authorization questions. You can contact us in a variety of ways. We have a phone number, we do drop-in advising on Zoom. We also do some in-person advising, and we can always answer questions by email. So please reach out for any questions about work authorization. What I really want you to know is that it's important to understand this before you start working off campus. But if you're working on campus for F1 students, you don't need a specific work authorization. You can just get a job on campus at the University of Minnesota. But once you start to look off campus, it's important to know your work authorization. In a moment, I will put some links into the chat for all of our different work authorization pages. But I just want you to know about this now, so that way down the road, when you start to look for internships, you have an idea of what you need in order to be able to legally do those. I think that is all I have.
Thanks, Emily. We can go to the next slide. So we wanted to share a few websites for you to keep in mind. The first one is a career services website that is just for international students and has a lot of helpful resources for searching for a job in the US, searching for a job outside of the US, preparing for graduate school, and more. The middle site is that we have an Instagram page. So please follow us on Instagram to keep up with career events, resources, and opportunities for UMN international students. And finally, the last link is for Handshake. Handshake, as some of our student leaders were talking about, is the university's internship and job searching website. This one you might want to keep in mind and then start your account after school starts, because different colleges have different procedures for how their students can get in the platform. Some colleges want students to have a resume developed first, and that is explained also on the website. But that is where you'll want to be looking for internship and job opportunities when you're ready to look off campus. There are a few student employee opportunities posted in there, as well as career fairs, employer events, and a lot of other exciting things. So those are our websites, and I think that's might be, we're transitioning into the end of the presentation. To Yeon, yes.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you all again for joining us. My name is Yewon. I'm a PhD student in education psychology and also part of the Global Gopher Influencer team in ISSS. Now, how to stay connected with ISSS? There are many ways to stay connected with us as a new international student, including the new student website in ISSS at isss.umn.edu/new and our Global Gopher in Experiences website. And as an international student, it is never wrong to ask and connect with ISSS. So feel free to contact us at issnew@umn.edu, and one of our ISSS staff members will respond to you. Also, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at ISSS-UMN and join our Discord channel for more information and updates on events. So again, welcome to our Global Gopher family. Next, we'll start the Q&A portion and I'll pass it on to Daniel.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel, and can I just say that when you guys first inputted where you were coming from, and that really did put a smile on my face, seeing everyone just zooming in from all these different locations from the world. So anyway, let's get into the Q&A session. we have a bunch of predetermined questions which we think that would really impact your guys' academic success. And can I just say that when I first came into the school, I really wish that I had access to these questions. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to answer the first part of the questions, and then I'll pass it on to my colleague Key to answer the second half. And then we will also move into the live questions that you guys have been inputting. And I think you guys have been asking really great live questions, by the way, so please keep it up. Anyway, the first question that I have for you guys is, for new and incoming students who do not have access to their accounts yet, how do they get access to UMN Career Services? And Jane, I think this one is for you.
Sure. So I would recommend, it is great to, at this stage, you can definitely look throughout the career services websites, the ones that we shared, and also your colleges will have websites for their particular services that they offer you as a student of their college. After the semester begins, it might be a good time to start thinking about activating your account on Handshake, which is the internship and job searching website that we mentioned, and also how you'll find out about career fairs and events. So I think there are things that you can do now by looking at what we have online that is available. And then after you arrive, you can activate your Handshake account and also request an appointment with the Career Services office and start to get to know what they have. So what I had also seen a question in the chat, someone who was asking if these services are also available for graduate students. And yes, these services are available for undergraduate and graduate students, everything that we mentioned. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jane. I think that the CLA Career Services, for me, for example, was really useful. Like exactly what Jane said. If you log into your specific career services website, you'll be able to like book interviews for figuring out how to do your resume or find various internships based on like different sectors. Like for me, for example, I'm in CLA and I'm studying computer science. So for the CLA Career Services, I actually was able to book a slot with someone who was based in the tech sector, and he was able to direct me to all these different internship opportunities. So I really suggest that you guys, first of all, get familiarized with the links that we have sent today, and also get familiarized with your sub-college career services website. And the second question that I have, Jane, is also for you. I have heard that getting an internship by the second year is a must, especially if interested in medical school. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question. I think it's important, especially coming into the experience being a university undergraduate student or graduate student. Everyone's journey is different. So understanding what can you do for your journey, and that your classmates' journey will likely be different than yours, but can be helpful to network with each other and get information to help support your career, and you can support their career. Getting an internship experience by the second year might be something that you can do, but you can also have other options through finding student employment opportunities, being a leader in a student organization, or a combination of different opportunities. I think what employers or graduate schools are looking for is that you are being proactive in building experiences and skills, and that you can talk about what you're learning through all of these different opportunities. And with all that in mind, as we've been talking about, also using the support staff that you have to help you plan and learn how to explain these different opportunities to employers as well. So you have your career coaches, your career counselors, but you'll also have academic advisors and faculty who are there to support you and making sure that you're preparing for your next step.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jane. I think that point about knowing that there are so many different resources on campus and not to worry about stressing and having to find something in your second year is a really important point. Like for me personally, I think after having spent 1 year at the U, I've come to find that there's so many different things you can do to level up in career success. So not to worry, guys. I think you guys are in really safe hands with the U here. And the next question I have, Jane, is also for you. I apologize, but when you apply for internships, do you apply for multiple internships at the same time? If so, how many?
Yeah, if you are looking for an internship experience or career experience, even in student employment, it is okay to apply for more than one opportunity at the same time, because it will help you to increase your options and your chances. However, it's definitely not some, you want to monitor, how you're feeling, and you don't have to do what feels like an overwhelming amount to you. Take your time and work through the applications that are the most interesting to you, that you think would be helpful to you. An example, I'm often at career fairs, and when I'm talking with students there, I'm encouraging them to talk with at least like 10 different companies is a pretty good amount, because you might find that some of those you don't end up wanting to apply for, and some of them you do. It's important to keep in mind that once you do start submitting applications, and if you do apply for more than one thing, there's a likely chance you might get more than one acceptance back then. So you need to communicate with the employers and others who are a part of the hiring experience, so they know what you're doing and what your choice is. It might be a bad scenario if you end up accepting two things, for example, and you can't really fulfill that, and one employer might not be so pleased with that. So important to use your communication skills throughout the process, and it is definitely okay to apply for more than one opportunity.
Seems to me like don't keep your eggs all in one basket and reach out, spread it across like multiple things. Great advice, Jane. Thank you. Okay. One last question for me would be, what are some ways to break into a particular industry or function without any prior experience? And I guess that is a pretty broad question, but I think maybe to shed some light on it, not having any experience would be maybe not knowing how to like put yourself out there, or not specifically knowing which events to go to, I think. So Jane, could you do this one too? Thank you.
Yeah, that is such a great question, because it's important to remember that everyone at one point has started from a space where they feel like they have no experience, but you do have a lot of experiences that you've brought in from high school or your past academic what am I trying to say? Past academic experiences. You have a lot of experiences that you're building in classes. So those are two areas where you're building a lot of experience. The other detail that I think we've been talking about a bit is that there are certain skills that can be useful in any career opportunity, one of them being communication, things also like teamwork and leadership. These are things that employers really value. So you'll want to be talking about how you can use those skills. And also employers really value a willingness to learn. So if you're enthusiastic and excited about learning, and you can share that with employers through your cover letter, or if you see them at a career fair or another networking event hosted on campus, then that would be a great thing to share with them.
Thank you, Jane. I'm going to be honest, I did not see that coming, and that's really good advice, which I'm taking from now on for me personally. Okay, guys, so I'm going to take the time to pass it on to Key now, but just before I do that, I'm going to give you my 2 cents on what we've talked about so far in this Q&A session. I think after having spent a year in the US as a freshman trying to find like different work opportunities, I would really stress that you have to network. It's what all of us have been saying in this webinar. If you really put yourself out there and make it seem like you can form a genuine connection with someone / relationship, you are going to significantly increase your chances of getting a job or an internship somewhere. And this comes from way up. It's come from my friends who have literally done this before. I think there have been more than enough examples to show that if you put yourself out there and you show that you're willing to learn, you can really boost your chances of leveling up for career success. And now I'm gonna let my wonderful colleague Key answer ask the rest of the questions. So Key, on to you, please.
Thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Jane, for answering the question. That is really great advice from both of you. Now I'm gonna read some more questions, and this time is for Emily. So the question is how to obtain employment authorization document, and is there any eligibility criteria?
Yeah, that is a great question. So the question is, how do I get an employment authorization document? And I want to take it one step back. So when you are working on your degree, you need to work on figuring out which work authorization you need. For many, I know for my F1 students in the room, during your degree, you need what's called CPT, which is where we get your employment authorization put directly onto your I-20. And once it's on your I-20, you are good to start working. However, keep in mind, you won't be eligible for that for the first academic year. So if you're starting in the fall, you'll have to wait until the summer of 2024 to be eligible for CPT. But during your degree, for my F1 students in the room, you do need to get the authorization onto your I-20. ISSS authorizes that. Now, if you're starting to think way ahead towards graduation and you're like, I want to learn more about OPT, OPT is where you're going to apply for an employment authorization document. That'll come a little bit later, but that will be authorized by both ISSS and USCIS. So how do you go about applying? I put some links in the chat and I'll happily put those back in the chat again. We've got a lot of information on our website about step-by-step how to apply for both CPT and OPT. And I will give the caveat, I am not a J1 advisor, but for my J1s in the room, I did put links into the chat as well for everything around on-campus work and academic training. So please feel free to schedule an appointment with an ISSS advisor once you're here in the fall. We're happy to talk you through all of your work authorization options. I also want to give a plug. I will be hosting a couple Fridays throughout the fall. I'll be hosting CPT and OPT workshops or information sessions. So if you want to come to one of those to learn a little bit more, I'll start advertising that in the ISSS weekly update.
That is a wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Emily. And yes, please go to ISSS if you have any question related to your work authorization, any of CPT, OPT. I actually came in for my OPT, which I was doing last year after I graduated. So here is also the second question for you, Emily. So can I find an off-campus job during my first year in the US? As an F1 student, and do I need like the employment authorization document for it?
Great question. So you as an F1 student do have to wait 2 consecutive semesters before you can start working. So you won't be able to start, for example, at an off-campus internship during your spring semester. However, I do think it's important that if you want to find a summer internship for summer of 2024, that you start looking earlier than that. So let's say you know that you want to work off campus in summer 2024. It's a good idea to start applying for those roles during the spring semester. So that way, by the time summer comes around, you will have finished the 2 semesters here in the US, and you will be able to start working after you've applied for CPT. And I want to plug again, in order to get the authorization, you need to apply through ISSS for CPT, and then we get the CPT onto your I-20, which then makes you legally allowed to work in that internship. So, great question.
That is awesome, Emily. Thank you so much for your answer. So now I'm gonna pass on to Daniel again to read some of the question in the live question that the student have put in.
Hi there, me again. So the very first question that I would like to introduce is, if I serve as a research assistant and TA is a teaching assistant, everybody, simultaneously in one semester, what are the working hours for each TA and RA? And is a TA's official working hours determined by the credit of the subject I work as? Jane or Emily, I'm going to pass this to either one of you.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that one, Jane. So
Thank you.
if you are wondering about that, so during your degree for F1 students, you are in the fall and spring semester are allowed to work up to 20 hours per week total. I don't know the exact number of what that turns out in like number of credits to how many hours per week that is. So I recommend reaching out to whoever your supervisor is for that graduate assistantship, research assistantship, or teaching assistantship to ask them what is going to be the total number of hours per week. Because again, you will have to keep it 20 hours per week or under during the fall and spring semester. But during the summer semester or during winter break, you are eligible to work full time. So that is anything over 20 hours on campus. And then if you're going to work off campus, just making sure that you have that CPT work authorization. But yep, during the fall and spring semester, it's 20 hours per week. And then during winter break and summer break, you can work full time.
Great. Thank you so much, Emily. I think those numbers are really important as students when we actually start working, because if you do 20 hours in the fall, for example, when you are doing your semester, it really feels different as opposed to if you're doing 40 hours when you're taking your summer break. So my advice personally, I would really recommend that you guys take some time to think about how many hours you want to commit to your job, but also know that your studies do play a huge role. I mean, that is why we are here after all, people. So thank you, Emily, so much for that. And another question, this one's a bit of a gray area. I think we kind of covered it, but let's just go through it again to suss out any doubt. After how long can one start applying for jobs on Handshake? And immediately after coming to the US or after 2 semesters? And Jane, could you please take this one?
Or I could pass it to Emily also.
Okay, yeah, that works too.
Yeah, so I'll quickly touch on the when you're allowed to start applying. Really, you can start applying to roles as early as you would like, keeping in mind that, and maybe Jane could touch on this, I don't know how long it is between when you apply and when it is that you might be expected to start working. But you can start applying, let's say, spring of your freshman year to start a position in the summer. You do still have to make sure that you don't start that role before the end of the spring semester. You have to wait until the summer starts. That way you for sure have done your first 2 semesters. But once you've done that, you are eligible to start working after those 2 semesters. But something I know from experience, and I'm sure everyone in this room who has worked really in any capacity knows the application process, the interview process takes a while. So you can start applying to roles in the spring. You just won't be able to actually start working until the summer. Anything else to add, Jean?
Yeah, that's a very good point of like, yeah, that you can peruse, you can look around, you can start applying. Some larger companies, like global ties companies, will have their recruitment starts earlier and earlier. So that is something to look out for, especially if you're in business or some of like tech fields and interested in working for global companies. At the same time, especially if you're just starting your undergraduate experience, it is very much okay to take time to look around, to see what opportunities are out there, and build experience on campus before looking into off-campus opportunities very intensely. There's a lot for you to get to know in your first semester, and it is okay to take a year or more to figure that out.
Thank you so much, guys. I have 2 more questions that I think I'm gonna morph into one because the answers like related to both. So the questions are, how can I reserve a time with a career counselor at the UMN or career services website? And also, who am I? No, not that one. That's another question here somewhere. And how do I write an effective resume and cover letter for that highlights my strengths and accomplishments? Where do I go to help to get that reviewed? We have talked about this, but let's shed more light on it, and maybe I'll like add in my 2 cents at the end. So Jane, would you be able to comment?
I can definitely answer that one. So all of our career services units have developed a lot in the past year where you can now book an appointment online, which I think is very convenient. And they can meet with you online or in person. The offices also oftentimes have drop-in hours, so you can keep those in mind if you just want to pop in, show up when it works for you to ask a question. And there, it is really a good thing that our career services are organized by college, because they're experts in the career areas that you are interested in going into. So they know what the best resume looks like for someone who wants to be a data scientist or a computer programmer, or a psychologist or human resource person. They can help you to design your resume and cover letter materials in that way. The colleges also have a lot of examples online of what good resumes and cover letters look like from their perspective.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jane. Emily, would you like to chime in, or?
I think Jane pretty much covered it all, but yes, definitely take it. And I just want to really encourage, take advantage of the fact that you have career counselors available to you. You can start meeting with them right away at the start of your career. So it's a good idea to get familiar with who they are, getting familiar with the office, and really using them as a resource for you.
Thank you, guys. So just to add in a little bit, I'm going to send a link in the chat right now. And this is a CLA specific link because I'm from CLA. I can speak for them. I did try out the CLA career services, and I must say that it's really great. Like, you can go online, you can schedule a drop-in event, a drop-in time with someone. So most of the information will be on the link that I've sent. If you are from CLA, please feel free to look at that link. And if you're not from CLA, not to worry. I'm pretty sure the U also has other websites for college specific career services. So all you have to do is just Google like CSC career services, and you should find something too. Key, I think you have a question that you've been meaning to ask, so I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you, Daniel. So there's one question that I think that I want to give it to Emily. So the student asks, I'm transferring from another U of M campus with the new visa that starts in January 2023. And would I be eligible to have an intern next year on January 2024 at the UMN?
Yeah, so for really specific questions, I do think I am going to refer you to ISSS and just make sure that you chat with one of our advisors. But my guidance is that you do need to have 2 consecutive semesters in the US. So if you have, let's say you start in the spring semester, you would need to complete spring semester and fall semester. But I recommend in your case, definitely reach out to an ISSS advisor just to talk it through, see if there's any additional information that we can get from you to see if that changes at all. But I think it's best to reach out to an ISSS advisor in that case.
Thank you, Emily. And there's some more question. So is there any information about work in campus for international students beginning this fall? Emily, you can take this question as well.
Yeah, so I guess there's 2 parts to that question, which is first off, information about working on campus. I will share the link again in the chat for F1 students as well as J1 students. Let me quickly copy and paste that again. So I'll post the information about working on and off campus. Now, questions about like how to start looking for jobs on campus. We had that one slide a couple slides back about that linked to the student jobs page. I recommend starting there. There are ways to kind of filter for what are your different areas of interest for work. But using that website to start looking at student jobs is an excellent place to start.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Emily. I'm gonna pass to Daniel again.
Alrighty, guys, it is that time where we have to wrap up the webinar. I hope that this has been an amazing session for you guys and all your questions have been answered. But if not, if you still have questions that haven't been answered, not to worry. You can always fill up the link for the survey and we will get back to you via our official ISSS email. Now, to look forward to the future, we have actually another event that's coming up in 2 weeks, which is what ISS does. We have bi-weekly events once every 2 weeks, and the next one is on August 9th. And that one is how to level up. It's more about like learning about your specific college, for example, like CLA, CSC, and then you can join up and meet new faces, know more key places, and like learn more about community spaces for your college. So in that event, in that webinar, there will be college staff, current international staff, and new students that will help and share what they know. Basically, to rephrase it, in my opinion, it's basically all these little golden nuggets of information that I really think you guys should come for and attend. So if you guys haven't already seen the link for the Global Gopher Experiences website, that will be in the chat. That is where you can see all the past and upcoming events if you would like to sign up for it. And another link is going to be sent in the chat too. That will be registering for the upcoming GGE events. And once again, if you have any questions and you don't want to use the Excel, the survey to ask any questions, you can also just email isuccess@umn.edu, and that too will be sent in the link. And while you guys log off, we have this wonderful video to be played for you guys. Thank you all for coming, and we hope that you've had a wonderful and informative time during this webinar. And cue the video, please.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need control. I fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in So just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling, yeah. So keep dancing. Oh, yeah, yeah. I can't stop the. 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 Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel the good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Stop all those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving, so keep dancing. Everybody say. I can't stop the feeling. Oh, no, I can't stop the feeling. I can't stop the feeling in my body. Break it down. Got this feeling in my body. Can't stop the feeling. Got this feeling in my body. Ooh.
Bye, everyone.